We're going to get into this FTX story. You guys have been asking me to cover this. I told you I was not going to cover it until I did some research. And I'm glad that I did some research because more has come out over the past couple of days. FTX is crypto. So there was a gentleman, Mr. Sam Bankman-Fried. He decided to start this crypto called FTX. Now, there are many layers to this, many layers. I have different parts I'm going to discuss with you, but also I'm going to tell you who has been affected by the collapse of FTX because the names just change every day. It's another group that's been affected by this. So more is coming out. First and foremost, let's do a quick timeline of the FTX collapse. Let's go ahead and play this clip here so you guys can see how things actually transpired.
The collapse of cryptocurrency exchange FTX has rattled the crypto world and set off a scramble to find billions of missing dollars. And to make things even more complicated, cryptocurrency exchanges are so new that bankruptcy courts haven't yet had to sort out complex legal questions surrounding their collapse. So, here are 3 things to know about FTX's bankruptcy case. First, there's a growing jurisdiction battle over where bankruptcy proceedings should take place, the US or the Bahamas. On November 11th, the day that FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried resigned, FTX and more than 130 corporate affiliates filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in Delaware. But the Bahamas government appears to be challenging that venue.
By the way, Delaware, that's where a lot of the credit card companies are located there. Insurance too, for some reason, but just FYI. So this is where this starts. So that Sam Bankman-Fried resigns as FTX new management. So this is when things started to really pop off. Let's go further.
November 15th, a Bahamas court-appointed liquidator filed for Chapter 15 bankruptcy in New York on behalf of FTX Digital Markets. And he essentially asked to move some of the legal proceedings to the Bahamas. He argued that the Bahamas has jurisdiction over FTX Digital and other entities that were operated by SBF out of a huge office complex in Nassau. It's not uncommon for the Bahamas to oversee the bankruptcy of a Bahamas-based company, but FTX's new leaders have criticized the move, calling it a blatant attempt to avoid the supervision of the court in Delaware and keep the FTX subsidiary in the Bahamas isolated from the rest of the company. They argue that all the proceedings should take place in a single bankruptcy court, the one in Delaware, so that the company can secure its assets. A hearing over the venue dispute is scheduled for Monday. Speaking of FTX's new management, it looks like we'll be hearing a lot from Yvonne J. He's the new FTX CEO, and he has unwound Enron and other major corporate failures. He has already become a key figure in the proceedings, and he drove headlines with the court filing on Thursday. In it, he pointed out that he has over 40 years of legal and restructuring experience, and that never in his career had he seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and such a complete absence of trustworthy financial information.
And so many people jumped on board with this, you guys. It's like crazy. Like, we're going to talk about the celebrities that endorsed this. People lost a lot of money. Sam lost like over $16 billion. I'm not exaggerating. The guy who started it, he lost like $16 billion. So this is huge. This is huge.
Filing went on to paint a picture of FTX's chaotic finances. And regarding the balance sheets of FTX and its subsidiaries, Ray repeatedly said, "I do not have confidence in them." An email sent to Bankman-Fried for comment bounced back. FTX's new management is now scrambling to figure out just how much money the company even has. So what does this all mean for customers? There are still a lot of unknowns. This is the largest collapse of a cryptocurrency exchange ever, and it's
in history. And there's something else I want to mention too, because this is where the White House can come in and say, see, we told you we need to regulate crypto. And that's something they've been pushing for. I mean, I'm not big into the whole crypto thing. Like, I have it because of Rockfin. Rockfin does crypto. They don't They don't have what YouTube has, like a Google AdSense. Like Rockfin doesn't have that. So they do like the crypto. I haven't had any issues over there with them, but they don't use that one, like, which is probably good. They use the Ray token. But this could have happened to anyone. But the fact that this is the largest crypto collapse in history, like, guys, this is huge, huge, huge.
Being handled by a bankruptcy system that hasn't yet figured out crypto. Legal experts say that's because this issue is so new that courts haven't yet had a chance to decide complex legal issues. Like the question of who owns digital currencies. Is it the cryptocurrency exchange or the customer who made a deposit? FTX has said that the number of creditors in bankruptcy could top 1 million. Legal experts say it'll probably be a long time before FTX customers have a better idea of what they'll get back and what legal recourse, if any, they may have against SBF and others that reportedly knew of the misuse of FTX customer funds.
So this video came out 4 days ago. More has transpired since then. Believe it or not, I'm telling you, it's new information every day. That's why I told you guys I had to let me catch up first. Let me catch up. Because this has affected other people. Some you may not expect. Because guys, this actually has affected The Intercept. I kid you not. Let's get into this. Look at this. The Intercept got played by FTX/SBF, and now these establishment hacks are begging you for small dollar donations. So this is the message that The Intercept put out. I kid you not. Earlier this year, The Intercept's philanthropy team was introduced to a potential new funder with an interest in supporting our reporting on biosafety and pandemic prevention. Now, for people who are not aware, I need to tell you who The Intercept is. The Intercept, their media, their journalist, Glenn Greenwald was one of the founders of The Intercept, but you guys know he's not with them. Most of you know he's not with them anymore. Ryan Grimm writes for them. There's another gentleman that writes for them. I forget. But yeah. And so I will say this, they're open about where they get their funding from. They are. So like Glenn Greenwald has openly admitted, like, yes, he got billionaire funding to start The Intercept. So he's been honest about that, and they've continued to be honest about where their funding comes from. But wait till you hear what happened with FTX and The Intercept, because now The Intercept's in trouble. And I don't know if everyone's heard this, but they go on to say that funder was one of Sam Bankman-Fried's philanthropic entities, the Building a Stronger Future Foundation. As editor-in-chief of The Intercept, I knew from our coverage that SBF was quickly becoming a polarizing figure. But I also knew our reporters would never pull their punches because of a donation, and they didn't. The Intercept has a long-standing commitment to transparency about our funding. We received $500,000 2 months ago. Another $250,000 was due in December, with $3.25 million to follow over the next 2 years. So like I said, they're pretty open about where their funding comes from. We disclose the grants in our reporting on SBF's political activities. As of right now, all further payments are on hold. Much remains unknown about the future of FTX and SBF's philanthropic giving. We have been in touch with our colleagues at other nonprofit newsrooms that received support from the Building a Stronger Future Foundation. And we remain hopeful that donors committed to this work will step forward. Guys, here's the kicker. But as of today, we have a significant hole in our budget. If you are able, please consider donating today to support The Intercept's crusading independent journalism. That's how much money they lost, because now they're asking people for donations because of this collapse of FTX. This is why when I said this is huge, I wonder what's going to come out tomorrow. Who else is going to be revealed? You know, but for them to have to ask people, listen, we need donations. Oh, yeah, that's right. Ryan Grimm is also part of The Intercept. We need donations. This is huge. Like, as you could see, The Intercept wasn't getting chump change. They're getting $500,000 donations, 3.25 million donations. Long story short, they might be broke now because of this collapse. So people are talking about it. That's been shared on Twitter, but it's not just The Intercept that's been affected by this. Did you know that FTX was also in bed with the Democratic Party? Oh, hold on for this one. Hold on to your seats. I kid you not. I wouldn't even try to exaggerate this. This goes deep. This goes really deep. Sam Bankman-Fried's fall cuts off big source of funds for U.S. Democrats. You guys see this? Let's go on. That's Mr. Sam, by the way. Sam is not having a good week. Sam Bankman-Fried stormed onto the U.S. political scene with the multi-million-dollar donations that led lawmakers, particularly Democrats, to believe he was ushering in the next generation of donors. But in a matter of days, his business empire collapsed into bankruptcy, and the prospect of millions more in donations evaporated. I see you, Bryce. Bryce said, oh, shit, damn. Yeah, I told you this runs deep. Before the fall of Bankman-Fried's cryptocurrency exchange FTX, the entrepreneur had emerged as the second largest donor to Democrats after George Soros. He had vowed to give up to $1 billion to political candidates linked to causes that he supported, a pledge from which he later backed away. He also became one of the most prominent crypto representatives in DC, supporting digital asset legislation and hiring former regulators as advisors. Now let's get down to the Democratic Party part. Sam didn't live up to his commitments, said one Democratic lobbyist. Bankman-Fried's grand spending promises had been more bluster than action. So let's go on. This is Maxwell Frost. Maxwell Frost, along with John Fetterman. Those are the two names I know that right now have been revealed. Also, we're getting donations from him. Let's go on. The entrepreneur was the second largest donor to the Democratic-leaning groups during the latest midterm election, spending $36 million. Soros spent $126 million, but the PAC he supported with that large donation only spent about $15 million this cycle. The majority of Bankman-Fried's donations, about $27 million, went to the other Protect Our Future PAC, which supported candidates that prioritize pandemic prevention. One of his interests, it endorsed 25 Democrats in congressional races this cycle. You guys see this? 25, of which 18 have won so far. Among these were Abigail Spanberger. Remember, she's the CIA Democrat. She came from those operations. And Florida Representative Maxwell Frost, who at 25 will be the youngest member there of Congress. FTX executives doled out nearly $72 million to Democrats and Republicans this election cycle alone. You see this? This is crazy shit, man. This is crazy. While the volumes pledged were akin to those given by longstanding corporate titans, some argued Bankman-Fried's donations were not entirely effective. In Oregon's 6th congressional district, Bankman-Fried Super PAC spent a whopping $11 million on Carrick Flynn, a pandemic researcher and first-time congressional candidate who failed to advance to the election. Some lobbyists and donors said they suspected Bankman-Fried's primary goal in politics had been to further his crypto interest. During the 2022 cycle, Bankman-Fried donated $155,000 to right-wing PACs. You see this? The Alabama Conservative Fund, which backed Republican Alabama Senator-elect Katie Britt. The Heartland Resurgence, which backed Senator John Boozman of Arkansas. This is so corrupt. Both Boozman and Stabe now said this week they would continue to support the Digital Commodities Consumer Protection Act, for which Bankman-Fried campaigned. Listen to this part. The FTX founder and the company's UX counterpart, FTX Us, gave $3.5 million to the GMI PAC, which in turn transferred approximately $5.8 million to Web3 Forward PAC, a pro-crypto super PAC. Web3 Forward has supported the campaigns of Democrats, including Senator-elect John Fetterman and Oregon Senator Ron Wyden. During the election, Bankman-Fried sat out some high-profile races, including Tim Ryan's failed Senate campaign in Ohio, although Ryan had sought to refine the country's infrastructure bill so as not to hit crypto groups. Now, it goes on to say here, there's another piece I want to mention to you. The concerns over FTX financial health and its links to Bankman-Fried's proprietary trading group, Alameda Research. Okay, I'm familiar with Alameda Research that triggered a deluge of customer withdrawals from the exchange, have also raised questions about the source of funds used for donations. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is investigating FTX over its crypto leading activities and management of customer funds, according to a person familiar with the matter. By the way, this article is from Financial Times. I highly recommend, if you want to learn about more finance information, anything financial, to follow them, because that is their thing. That's kind of all they focus on, just the money. You want to focus on the money, to follow them. So that article, Eric, if you can put the link to that in the chat so people can read the rest of it before I go to the other part. That article is a little bit longer, but so this, you guys seeing the connections here? So you have money from FTX going into the Democratic Party. You see the connection there? Also the connection with The Intercept. So what would connect all these groups? Money. All connected. There was actually someone who predicted that this collapse was going to happen. Let's get into that story. I predicted FTX collapse a month before it happened. Oh boy, let's get into it. Now, this is from Ishan. In a year filled with jaw-dropping unveilings, none compared to a bewildering fall of Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX exchange. While many were stunned, there were a few telltale signs that may have indicated not everything was peachy perfect over at FTX headquarters. These issues began to compound, and on October 5th, I published a detailed commentary about my decision to begin to pull funds out. So he had already announced this. He said on Twitter, I'm taking all of my capital out of FTX and going short FTT. FTX has been swinging and missing all year long on so many activations, and something shady is going on at FTX. Here's 12 reasons why I'm completely cutting out the FTX mafia. So he posted a thread. Let me go through the whole thread here. I'll come back to the thread. The bottom line is that things didn't seem right. A month later, we're witnessing the fallout. So here are certain things that he points out, you guys. Top executives leaving. By the way, that's a big red flag, especially for those of you that are job hunting. When you see, if you're job hunting and all the management stepping down, run. Top executives leaving. So that was a red flag. Poor business performance. He said, as a private company, it was difficult to fully grasp the financial outlook for FTX, but there were signs of trouble. So he goes into this and he breaks it down. He said, come here. Whoops, I skipped a part. Here we go. FTX launched FTX stocks to offer U.S. investors exposure to equities, a weird product extension for a crypto native firm. Why not provide more crypto related products or create solutions to help the industry? Even then, it seemed like a weak attempt at recovering some lost revenues from the reduction in volume. And he also went on to say, I wanted to mention this part right here, that the trading volume was down significantly. It had decreased to December 2020 levels that hadn't been seen since the monumental bull run again. So there were things that he pointed out. I do want to go to his thread though, because he shows screenshots here. So let me, if you're still there, it's Sam. I don't know if you're still there or not. Okay, yeah, you are there. Not Sam, Ishan. So let's walk with him through this. Volume is down. Let's get the easy one out of the way. Yes, we're in a bear, but volume is still down. 75% down from its peak. They're doing 3 to 4B in volume some days. Those are December 2020 levels. So that was one thing that he noticed. See? And he put the thing here, FTX trading volume. See how it went down? So he was smart. Ishan said, y'all, you know what? I'm gonna get my money and get up out of here. Next, he said DEX and derivative volume is up. Besides being in a bear, FTX is losing derivative market share to decentralized products. DEX are just more efficient with less overhead expenses. Again, he shows figures for each one of these. That's why I think this is important to note. He gave visuals. So he was watching what was going on. 3, splintered attention. Instead of focusing on one goal, like making the best possible trading product, attention is getting splintered. FTX, NFTs, massive failure. Sam talking about buying Twitter or joining Elon's bid. That was another thing too about Sam, the guy who's responsible for FTX. Sam also had thought about buying Twitter at one point. It seemed like this guy was all over the place. Then he goes on to this part here. He said this also led to messages from the court filed. So this is recreated. And he talks about some of the messages that came from the court. He said, hey, I saw your poll on Twitter about Twitter and free speech. I'm not sure if this is what's on your mind, but my collaborator, Sam Bankman-Fried, has for a while been potentially interested in purchasing it and then making it better for the world. If you want to talk with him about a possible joint effort in this direction, his number is, and of course, this is redacted so people don't harass him. But Sam was trying to buy Twitter too. He was thinking about that as well. Could you imagine what would have happened if, I'm not going to get into that. He also went on to say, again, top executives leaving. That's important, guys. That's a huge red flag when they start to walk away. He goes on to say either something shady is happening or these guys are post-economic. Either way, I'm out. And that was probably very, very wise decision there. Very wise decision. So he got out before shit hit the fan. And he tried to warn people, anyone who was following him on Twitter. He tried to give people a heads up like, hey, something's about to happen here. I think people need to roll out. But here's the thing. A lot of people, it's not just Sam that's getting heat about FTX and promoting FTX. Celebrities that promoted FTX are also getting heat from people. Tom Brady, Gisele Bündchen, and also Steph Curry. Now, Case Study QB, he clipped this. Shout out to Case doing the damn thing. Here's a clip here where they show the stars who endorsed it. So listen to what they had to say here. This is important for people to know.
You know what? I'm in.
Tom Brady, Gisele Bündchen, Larry David, Naomi Osaka, and Steph Curry are among the celebrities accused in a class action lawsuit of being part of a, quote, fraudulent scheme designed to take advantage of unsophisticated investors that led to $11 billion in damages.
It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto. I don't think so.
All stemming from their involvement in promoting crypto exchange FTX. FTX's founder and CEO Sam Bankman-Fried was until recently the darling of the crypto community. His company, once valued at more than $32 billion, is now seeking bankruptcy protection.
We're talking about one of the larger bankruptcies we've seen in a long time.
The FTX founder, also named in the lawsuit, resigned as CEO as his company collapsed. He did not reply to NBC's request for comment, but in a direct message exchange with a reporter wrote, "F regulators, they make everything worse." We also did not hear back from representatives for celebrities named in the lawsuit.
All right. So some of the celebrities here, so they're even saying in the video, they have not heard back from their representatives that appeared in the commercials for it. And I'm going to finish playing the clip in just a second, but let's be real here for a second. They endorsed it. And when a celebrity endorses a product or a brand, that actually carries a lot of weight. People who love Tom Brady are probably like, okay, Tom Brady's endorsing this. It must be a good thing to do. I'll go ahead and buy in. People who love Steph Curry, same thing. They're like, oh yeah, Steph Curry, let me go ahead and buy in. That's why people use celebrities for endorsements, because they know that they'll sell their products for them. So for them to just be quiet right now, no, you guys, you stood by the product. You endorsed it. I think every one of them should at least release some type of a statement. You know what I mean? What's going on, Case? Hey, much love, Sabby Sabs in the chat. But to just hide from the press and not say anything, no, that's not the right answer right now. You guys realize how much money was lost? How many people lost? Bankruptcy level. Bankruptcy level. It's not just Sam. It's everybody else who had their money tied up in it too. I told you the Intercept broke. I mean, this is terrible. What's that, M. Smith? Seriously, why would you take investment advice from a celebrity? People don't care. They just see it's Tom Brady. That's the thing. It works. That's why they use it. Now let's go back a little bit here because I think I skipped over one part. Yeah.
F regulators, they make everything worse. We also did not hear back from representatives for celebrities named in the lawsuit for appearing in ads like this.
With FTX, I have everything I need to buy, sell, and trade crypto safely.
But the lawsuit calls FTX's platform a Ponzi scheme and says of the defendants, none performed any due diligence.
These celebrities all should have known that when they took this risk, that if these are unregistered securities, they're looking at liability for all of the damages.
Bankman-Fried has been accused of moving billions in customers' funds without their permission to another one of his companies. His exchange then faced what was akin to a run on the bank, and now customers can't get their money out.
That money I had put aside for my granddaughter so I can use for Christmas, and now I have to figure out another way to do it.
The new lawsuit now calls for accountability from FTX's big-name endorsers. Jake Ward, NBC News, San Francisco.
I know that I do understand that Tom Brady and Gisele dealing with like their whole divorce settlement. I understand they're dealing with that, but not a good look. Not a good look. If you guys know anyone that was invested in this, let me know in the chat. I wasn't. If I was, I would not be here right now. I'd probably be crying somewhere. I probably would. I was just like, oh my God. I don't know. It's just, Echo J says regulations equal consumer protections. See, this is the thing. Like, he didn't want that. Sam, he said, even in the interview clip, he didn't want any type of regulation. Like, this is worse. If I'm thinking about the numbers, this is worse than Enron. I don't know, you guys. All I can say is just, here's my advice. Number one, be careful about jumping on the next new thing. Be careful with that. It's new. If it's shiny, I mean, it could still fall. Just be careful with that. And two, I mean, I'm very careful, like, with my money. And what I mean by that is like, I don't gamble. I don't do lottery. Every time I go to the convenience store, I see older people buying lottery tickets. And it really makes me sad, because it's like, if I'm seeing someone in their 80s have to buy like lottery tickets or scratch tickets all the time, that tell me that person has gotten all the way to that point in their life, and still economically they're not set. And that's really sad to me. It is really, it's a problem. But I don't gamble. I don't do any of that. Like, basically, I try to hold on to what I have, which is why I don't need have much. Like, we talk about this, like, even with my house, like, we don't have a lot of stuff in here. I don't like clutter, and I just don't like to spend. I don't like spending money, right? So to me, like, this is just, I wouldn't have done it anyway. But the celebrity endorsements, I'm sure, might have pushed some people to do it. But I think they should either just say something, like, just be like, look, I don't endorse this anymore, whatever, something. But this is bankruptcy level. And I mean, I feel sorry for everyone that lost their money that was involved. But I don't know, maybe this might be a lesson for all of us, right? And who knows, like I said, every day more information is coming out about this. So tomorrow there may be something else that comes out about it. Something else that comes out, you know? Zach said, Sabby, the reason they're all in Delaware is because it's a tax haven. Biden was a legislator there, and he jerry-rigged the laws to make it favorable for multinational corporations to operate there. Gotcha. Thanks so much for that. Thanks for the super chat, Jay. Y'all, this Elizabeth Holmes 3.0. Oh my God. Well said, Jay. Well said. That's a good way of putting it. Robert said, so much corruption. Indeed. Thank you for the super chat, Jacqueline. Didn't them effers learn from Bernie Madoff scam? I guess not. Guess not. Thank you for the super chat, Donald. I'm not saying that whole name. Dims get played by some grifter crypto bro. Yo, this is crazy. This shit is wild. Could you imagine if he had bought Twitter? And thanks for the super chat as well, Jay. It's called Risk. All lawsuits should be thrown. Whew. Elvin, big government is not the problem, but being unregulated corporations are. JB Font, regulation is what tax dollars supposedly pay for. This is why we need some regulations. Joanne, the difference between Enron and this is that the Enron people had no control over what the CEO was doing with their money. That's true. With FTX, people went in freely with their money and got suckered. That's true too. Good point. Good point. Thanks for the super chat, M. Smith. I've interviewed with a few of the most well-known crypto companies for senior level compliance positions. Their compliance programs are trash. Ouch. Interesting. John, has nobody yet mentioned the Ponzi scheme called capitalism? Well said, John. Well said.